Welcome to the President's Podcast with the Black Nurses Association of Greater St. Louis. You are listening live to Dr. Leonora Muhammad, President of the BNA STL.
And I am Shafonne Smith, and I will be your co-host for this episode.
Yes, and welcome to our show today. First off, we are on the end of Nurses Week. So happy belated Nurses Week to all of my registered nurses, my LPNs, my advanced practice nurses, my retired nurses, CNAs, and even the grandfather nurses that not officially nurses, but they do nurse and work and take care of their loved ones at home. So happy belated birthday to Florence Nightingale, who started the modern nursing. And a huge thank you to Mary Eliza Mahoney, our first African-American nurse to graduate from school. So we got to say thank you to the pioneers. So we got to start it off there. So
thank you.
Thank you. It was not for them. So we are super excited. We got a special little Nurses Week episode this month. And we are honored to have our guest on the show today. She is a student member of the Black Nurses Association, Miss Maria Rupp. Right?
Yes. Hey, thank you.
Welcome.
Hello, Maria.
And I'm so super excited that Miss Shafonne is co-hosting with me today.
Thank you.
Excited. So we are off of Nurses Week. We have been getting so many kudos on Facebook, on Instagram pages, at our workplace. So again, thank you to all of you guys that helped celebrate us this week. So we're going to talk about student nursing because that's one thing that we're trying to do in the Black Nurses Association of Greater St. Louis. We are trying to support and help our students as they transition through their nursing careers and going through school. It's a tough time. We in a pandemic, so that has been very challenging to our students that are having to learn a different way, than we traditionally did when we were in school. So that's what we kind of want to spark the conversation about today. And so we'll start off with Miss Maria. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing, where you're going to school at, and like what semester you in. Kind of give us a little background on what you're doing right now.
Will do. I want to just first say thank you for having me as a guest on the podcast. Really appreciate the opportunity to be able to share my experiences total. During pre-COVID, as a student, period, you want to be on your A game before you even get into it. But the thing is with COVID, it was, unpredictable. These are unpredictable times. And so, you want to make sure that you're prepared, and you just kind of had to be adaptable in this type of situation. It's definitely what it was called for. So that was one of the things, stepping in when my name was called. I'm a student at Forest Park Community College, and it's a great program. I'm a first semester graduate. I just got through with that part, so I've got 3 more semesters for this.
Congratulations. First semester is the toughest because you're trying to get used to everything.
It was a big change. Definitely a big change. You had a lot of different classroom setup than you would normally have for science courses that I've taken in the past. I was like, wow. And you had to also have those you had to feel it all out. You go into this go mode where you're like, okay, I got all this information, because there was a lot of information that was given in the front. But the way that they kind of prepared us was being able to give an entryway. Before the semester started, we had a week-long virtual event where we were able to meet the professors, talk with them, ask questions about what we were kind of concerned about, and get prepared for what was coming. And so I really appreciated that openness and that transparency, because that reduced a lot of the oh my goodness,
anxiety, a little bit of anxiety. I'm sure some of the students went through.
Exactly. And that helped a whole bunch. We have mixtures and different schedules than we would do normally if we were in nursing school. We had simulation alternate, meaning that we didn't have sim every week. We would have it every third week. Students were split up in blocks. We started with 50 some odd students. We were reduced down to 30 something by the end of the semester. So it was really rigorous. We tried to make sure clinical dates, your live virtual, as well as your lab in theory was done. So alternating those weeks was a big transition. But for the most part, the professors were really understanding, very easy to come to if you had questions. And it was a bit different because class sizes were broken down. When I initially got into the Forest Park program, this is just how I take on things. I look at it as an overall situation. Okay, what am I dealing with? What are my resources at that period of time? How much can I learn about how much I'm going to be juggling and use those resources? That means they have a retention coach available. They have a nursing tutor available. If you're struggling with any content, they have availability via virtual, and you just set your appointment via there. Retention coaches, strategies and test taking, anxiety, etc., all the way down the block to looking at bringing people in. Student Nurses Association was also something I got into when I was there. I ran for the first chair for the representative for the first semester cohort and was able to represent the class, concerns, needs, and bring them to the board when need be. So taking that role kind of helped propel me into understanding the whole process, getting to talk to other people from other semesters within the same same college at different levels. We were also able to come up with a Student Nurses Association like peer mentorship within the program. That's going to be launched soon. So like taking that active role really helped in really trying to manage everything. And knowing when to step back is really important because your academics come first. You got to make sure that you're knocking down A, B, C before you take on X, Y, Z.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, when you talk about prioritizing what needs to be done, that takes me back to my first semester in LPN school, because that was really a challenge, because you really had to change up your mindset to focus on classes and what you really needed to do, and that you couldn't be going out, or you have to be at home, you got to be studying, you got to be
Exactly.
all in to the studies, and not have distractions on the side. So I absolutely
that's definitely something that I had to learn too. I mean, I don't go out a whole bunch, so like trying to make sure I was prepared, because the one thing I don't like is stepping into a situation that I'm not prepared or ready for, haven't reviewed. So it seemed like every day was, you better be going over something. Getting ready for, okay, you got lab Thursday, you better start knocking whatever Tuesday, and also juggling. I'm also a student nurse at a local hospital, so I juggle that on the weekends. Also, another thing was looking at the grades. Nursing school grades differently than traditional classes that are taken within the college and university. So therefore, I had to make sure my game was on tight because of how I am. This is a whole journey, not just for like getting to the degree, but also a self journey. So understanding that, yeah, I'm an A student. That's how I try to carry it. But I knew I was like coming at it like, okay, my lowest was 82. I gotta take some time off for maybe 2 weeks, get on my grind and make sure I understand the content. If I have the time, then I have the energy to put into it. So further from there, I just keep on banging it out. Now for the other semesters coming, I'm gonna have to take that same mentality toward it. But where there's a will, there's a way. And I'm hoping I'll try to get through third and fourth together. But
do you feel like working and going to school was a lot to take on? Was there a point where you had to step back from work and focus more on school?
Yeah, there was I'm a bit of an overdoer in a way sometimes. So I actually picked this job up in November as a student nurse, but I made sure I took a PRN position. So I'm contracted for 3 12-hour shifts within 6 weeks. So that means that I can kind of step back accordingly, because I don't want to make obligations that I cannot meet. And I don't want that to hinder exactly my mission of what I'm doing right now. So I was able to kind of, I would say I would probably make 2 or 3 weekends a month I would work. I did not work during the week. I made that a prioritization for family, taking care of business, and studying. That was primarily during my week. Toward the weekend, it was work, or I would work one Saturday and then study, and I'll have an exam Monday. But priority, it was basically schooling. I had to dial it back I think after break. There was also a moment during break where I'm like, man, I've been on the grind on these books so much, and I've been doing this and doing that. I also have a family. So I really had to make sure that I prioritized time for them as well. During that break, I was able to spend time, hang out, just kind of get that. But I knew I spent 4 or 5 days not really studying as much, and I felt guilt every day. But at the same note, I had to realize my priorities too are my family. And so that's what's important to me. That's I knew when I came back, my grade wasn't going to be the best. And that's what that 82 was, my lowest score. I was like, I'm gonna have to get back on the grind because I can't let this drop. If you get it, I don't like to become complacent as okay, well, that's just no, I gotta grind harder and then I was able to increase it as the last 3 exams happened. So I would definitely say toward the end, I had to dial back of work because you had ATI swinging in there. And for those that don't know, ATI is kind of like the HESI exit exams at the end of the semester. You have to be able to be competent, or the competency test at the end of a kind of like a cumulative test for that semester. And a lot of it, we didn't really know because of the fact this is a national test. It's given across the board. So there's some information. If you didn't know before, you better try to know now. So
Yes.
that plus the exams that you were given, you had exam 5, then you had ATI, then you had remediation, then you had, your exam 6 or whatever. That's within 2-3 weeks of each other. So it was really important that, when the pedal was put down, it was put down. Like that was that focus, finishing out that last few weeks of that 16-week course. I would also take, like taking those mental health breaks. You can't go hard all the time. So taking those walks, whether it was painting your nails or whatever you found me to balance, because if you are messed up here, then nothing you do is going to be
that is so great that you say
it's
that,
just not.
because I do so many talks about self-care, because if we don't take care of ourselves first, and we just kind of as nurses are bad with that. We want to take care of everybody else, but we fail to take care of ourselves. And it goes with being a student. You have to take care of yourself, and you have to prioritize. So I think you have hit on a lot of different gems in what you just talked about. And I think you got the secret sauce that you should be sharing with your fellow students, because I wasn't like that when I got into nursing school. I was all over the place, and I was thinking that I can work and just do all of this, but I would say start small, and then you work up, as you see how the classes goes, and how your pace is, and how the tests will go, and how your study sessions will go, and and then you can work up to adding more days to your work schedule. But I think exactly what you did with kind of starting slow, and then working off so that you can meet your commitments. I think that is absolutely key. And then also becoming part of the Student and Nurses Association. That's one thing that we always advocate, just even from a Black Nurses Association standpoint, have resources and have people that you can reach out to that can mentor you, that can help you, even students that are in higher semesters than you, they absolutely have feedback because they've been through it before. Exactly, Shafonne. They've been through it, so they can be telling you, things or best practices and tips that you can do to be successful. So I always advocate for students, for all of our nurses, to become a part of an association, because that's where your support is, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. So I'm so proud of you already with having realized that in your first semester.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I was behind the 8 ball. I was a little slow. I don't think I got it till about 3 semesters in. Then I was like, okay, well, I gotta change up some things a little bit, right? Was that
I was one of those people who studied at the last minute.
That's me.
More memorizing to take the test but you know.
But you got to do what works for you. Like some people, even though I'm not an advocate of this, you have to do what works for you.
Right.
But I'm a kind of a little procrastinator, wait to the last minute, then start studying like 3 days before. But I have a memory though, so it's easy for me to memorize what I've seen. So that works for me, but that might not work for somebody else. So you have to identify at the beginning what works for you, what study tips work for you, what methods work for you, and then go from there. And if it's not working, then you need to try something else.
Right. Adaptability was key. Yeah.
Yeah. So what made you get into nursing? What made you want to go into nursing school to begin with?
It was a mixture. I kind of ran from it for a long time because I was pretty much raised in it. So my mother, she was respiratory therapy for 35 years and then switched to neurology the last 15 to 20 years. She switched to neurology and just retired. My dad taught radiology technology. So I was kind of raised in the health field in a way. But the other component is I have always been fascinated by the sciences. I find it amazing. I see this whole thing as a puzzle piece and literally just trying to put all the pieces together. So far as the body systems and how it works, abnormalities and lab values and how it contributes to like the physiological, aspects of what you see, like a patient's confused. Well, let's look at the bun, let's look at the urine, let's do a urinalysis. There's so many different components with acid bases and balances, and there's so many components, and I'm excited about that part to be able to learn how this put the pieces together. And so initially when I'm able to build this foundation, that means finishing my RN, I do plan on going forward and going in. I do, and I like medical research. I do enjoy community work as well. I haven't really pegged down exactly where that interest will lie, but with nursing, there's a facet of field that you can go into to explore. But I think this is one. The other component too is I really enjoy helping people. What did I say? That fills my cup. When you have a caring heart and you do care about what you do and how you impact the other people's lives, it makes a difference. Right now I'm working on oncology. So I do work with hematology, oncology. I work with sickle cell as well too as patients that are dealing with cancer. And they're not in the best shape, so it's important, and it's high on my list to make sure that I show them dignity and show them compassion no matter whatever source they come in. And because that's basic. Those are the basic needs. And so making sure I'm helping my team, making sure that they're comfortable and I'm doing what I have to do is my priority while I'm there. So I enjoy it. When I'm at work, I'm learning. That's like a clinical for me, but getting paid. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Mary Moon would be proud of the statement that you just made because, nurses, we have a caring heart and we just want to make sure we do the best that we can do for each and every patient. And I know you feel the same, Shafonne, because you actually working out in the field as a nurse practitioner. So talk a little bit about, what you've been seeing at your workplace during this pandemic and, any challenges that patients have seen during this time?
And I'm sure the challenges everywhere that were about the same challenges, but just a lot of patients needing to get transportation to the facility for their appointments. A lot of patients have just not came out in the public just because of COVID, and they don't want to contract it and things of that nature. They don't want to pass on to their families. So they just kind of stay in. So a lot of them were utilizing the telehealth appointments, calling in, but we all know with the telehealth appointments, it's not as efficient of an assessment over the phone. And a lot of providers, we kind of understood why they didn't want to come out. But we also had to balance that out and trying to provide the best care for them that we possibly can, via computer or via a telephone. So that was a struggle. Where I work at family care health centers, and the good thing about there is they provide the vaccine for all of their patients. So the patients don't have to go and search anywhere to find out where to get it, or anything of that nature. I had a brother-in-law that had to drive like an hour and a half to go get his first vaccine.
Wow.
Because it's still so hard to find where to go to get it. It's a little easier now, but sometimes, some places are offering it one day and not the next, or they have a certain age
it was
range,
very complicated,
or something like that. Or they're like, if you didn't get your vaccine here, we're not giving you your second one, things of that nature. So the clinic I am at, they provided for all of their patients. Every Wednesday, they're giving vaccines, the first one, and then every Thursday and Friday, they give the second vaccine for whoever needs it. So every week, they have been doing this, and they were going to continue doing it until they can vaccinate all of their patients. So that's the good thing about the clinic that I work with. Another thing is insurance. A lot of people lost their insurance, which is also a barrier to them getting health care. So there is an insurance that Gateway to Better Health that they are providing or offering to a lot of the patients at my clinic, and I'm sure elsewhere. But with that insurance is they pretty much force the facility to get the patient in to the clinic. So you correct. So you can't just be getting paid by this insurance company and the patients aren't coming in. So, on the back end of that, we have the workers calling the patients like back to back to back. They cancel the appointment, they no show. You got to keep calling them, come back. And the only downfall is, well, it's not really a downfall, but you get patients that haven't been seen in 10 and 20 years. And you guys know what that means. That comes with, I got 5 and 10,000 and I got 30 to 40 minutes to fix all of them. And it's like, so then you try to fix as much as you can, but then you kind of feel guilty because you kind of need them to come back because you don't have a lot of that time. And then you just kind of, once they walk out, you kind of pray that they will come back to follow
because
up.
Then it follows the transportation issues of getting back in there. So a lot of different challenges during COVID. It really challenged nurses and businesses and clinics and healthcare systems to become innovative. We already were, getting familiar with the telehealth, and telenursing, but that even made us jump even faster to be able to do that. I know in my line of work in corrections, we really had to start being innovative with things that we wanted to do, with telenursing being one of them, way to, see more patients and not, because we had a lot of patients being out, or even a lot of staff being out that have contracted COVID or so then, in many institutions, we short staff because people are out or they taking leave or they taking care of loved ones that were affected by COVID. So we really had to be really innovative. So those challenges, I know from different organizations, they had those same challenges as well. So and then of course back into the schooling, and I also teach at the University of Missouri St. Louis as a clinical instructor, and we really had, and kudos out to the dean and kudos out to the instructors, because we really had to improvise and say, okay, how are we going to teach our nursing students, with not being able to be in a clinical setting? We had to think about, okay, well, let's use simulation, let's get the students in, let's be creative, and of course the students want to be out there, they want to be touching and feeling the patients, they want to be learning, they want to be seeing everything. I know my students was like, come on, Dr. Muhammad, I want to see something. I'm like, well, we can't go to clinicals this week, that we got to wait till the letting us back, but until then, let's get on this mannequin and let's let me show you the ropes, so I know it was a little heartbreaking for some of the students. They really wanted to be in there because we actually actually were in a clinical setting for a while, and then we had to, stop going and then revert back to the lab, and then also dealing with the high simulations in the simulation lab. So, we made it work, but it obviously was definitely something that we had to improvise and be creative and still have a good learning environment for the students. So I will tell you that the one thing the students will know is how to don and doff PPE.
Okay.
You guys will be experts at that, because when we were in that clinical setting, oh my God, we was putting those gowns on and off going into those rooms at the beginning of the pandemic, when we still were able to go into the hospital setting. So you guys will absolutely be experts in that by the time you get out of school.
Yes.
So, super excited. But yeah, so this has been great having you on, Ms. Maria, to talk to us from a student perspective. What's maybe one pointer that you would give for nurses or our youngins that's in the high school that are being prepared or getting interested in starting a nursing career? What's one words of wisdom that you would give one of our high school students that's looking to get into nursing?
I would definitely say if they are interested in getting to nursing, if they're interested in getting to the health field, that there are many resources available. You can do it. You have, whether or not you're in high school, they have North County Tech, which offers, I think, in healthcare portion of their setup, and they also have community college. When you get through, you have so many, and you also have outside resources. Black Nurses Association is a wonderful, wonderful program, and I really appreciate the guidance, because I mean, I went to the meeting 2 years ago in person when we had it, and I was just scoping out, I was just like, oh, wow. And by the end of the meeting, I was just truly moved. And I hope the same for individuals who are aspiring to get into the health field, because it's definitely needed. And I'm telling you, there's so many resources there. If you want to do it, there's opportunity there. And so, getting involved is a big one. Basically reaching out to these organizations is another, and just keep moving forward. I think that's a big one. Life can throw a lot of hard balls, soft ones too, and just to keep pursuing your dream of what you want to do.
Absolutely. Great words of advice for our students. Absolutely. So, Ms. Shafonne, what would you, because you've been an RN and then 2 dual MP certifications in women's health and adult geriatrics,
Nice.
my adult geriatric sister and MP. So what would you tell them? Because it's really important for us or for our youngins to see what we're doing, in our communities and how we can be successful in the nursing world. So what advice would you give them and I want you to speak specifically for our RNs already that are trying to think about whether they want to get their MP or not, or if they want to go and get their DNP eventually, like what advice would you give to them to keep moving forward?
First, figure out if that's what you want to do, because both positions are important. Being an RN is important. I know RNs that have been, they've been floor nurses since before I was born, and they love it. Yeah. And I've loved it as well. Except, I had saw some deficits, and I wanted to advance and be in a position where I can try to change those deficits in regards to education and things. So I don't want anybody to think that they have to move forward. I don't want them to feel like they need to be pressured to become, get an advanced degree, to get a master's, to get a doctorate. Being a nurse in general is, to me, the best profession you can have. So, if they choose to move forward, great. We need MPs, we need DMPs, we need Black ones. Hey, we need them all.
We need everybody, right?
Yes.
Because it is a nursing shortage. It ain't even
just
a shortage. It's a nursing shortage all the way across the board.
But just them knowing that there's a spot for them wherever they want to be in the nursing profession. You can do direct patient care, indirect work at a desk. You can, be deep diving in emergency situations. So Just my advice would be, if you want to move forward, move forward. If not, there is a place for you.
Yes, and that is the joy of being a nurse, because it's just so many different avenues that you can do. And I think that was excellent advice, because you just do you. So if you want to be a full nurse, be a full nurse. If you want to be in corrections, be in corrections. If you want to be, whatever you want to do, you can do it. And that's why I was, introduced to nursing, and I knew it was so many different facets that could interest me. And maybe I want to take care of patients, because sometimes I'm in nursing administration, but sometimes I'm like, oh, I miss talking to a patient, or finding out the problems, or trying to investigate what's going on, or do assessment. I miss that sometimes. So again, you can do both. So you can have a side job in the hospital or in a clinic, and then you can also be in administration. So whatever you want to do, that's the key point here. So, well, thank you guys for joining me today. It was super. We are super excited to have you on the show, Miss Maria. You are joy. You are inspiration to the students. I can already
appreciate that.
Ever since Maria joined the Black Nurses Association of Greater St. Louis, she done jumped in. She's been at the community events. She's been doing everything, helping out. And Miss Shafonne too. When she joined the Black Nurses Association too, she was on it too. So I absolutely appreciate you guys as members. And thank you, Ms. Shafonne, for being my co-host today. I appreciate it.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
So make sure that you guys listen to this episode on our YouTube channel. Make sure you like and share and subscribe to our YouTube page and on our Facebook and Instagram page. We have our local chapter meetings every month on the fourth Saturday of the month. You can check if we doing it via Zoom because of the pandemic. So hopefully we can get back to being in person very soon. But until then, you can meet us on Zoom, and you can go to our Facebook page or Instagram page and click the link to join us. And that's nursing students. Even if you're just interested, if you're in high school, you can still come to the meeting and find out what we're all about. So just make sure you join us. So we appreciate you. So thank you for tuning in to the President's Podcast with the Black Nurses Association of Greater St. Louis. And tune in next time, because we are the pulse to all things nursing in the loop.
Thank you.